Welcome to Gaga's Fiction. Today, we're exploring a wild what-if scenario, Naruto in love with Fem Poseidon. Let's dive right in. Ocean wave, fish cake, #Narutox Poseidon, #Gaga's Fiction. Currently, we see Poseidon walking through the forest, on her way to the lake she had been visiting lately. It had been a few months since she met that blonde elemental, and she wouldn't deny that the first time she met him, he seemed very annoying and irritating. She hadn't killed him simply because he was a water elemental, but as the days passed, she got to know the blonde better, and something within her began to change. Lately, she found Naruto's company very gratifying and pleasant. Maybe he's Poseidon shook her head at these thoughts while returning to her serious and cold demeanor. What was she thinking? And even more importantly, why couldn't she stop thinking about that blonde? That was something else that had happened to her during this time. For the past month, thoughts about Naruto had invaded her mind. Honestly, she believed she was going crazy. It doesn't have to be anything, she told herself as she crossed the leafy curtain leading to the lake. Upon crossing it, she saw something that provoked a feeling of annoyance. "Tell me, Naruto, are you busy?" A nymph asked Naruto with a seductive tone that did not sit well with Poseidon, who merely listened to the conversation in silence. "No, why do you ask?" Naruto said with an innocent smile that caused the nymph's smile to widen even more. "Well, I thought we could have some fun," said the nymph in a perverse manner. "Fun?" Naruto asked. "Yes, have fun, just you and me, okay." Poseidon had heard enough of this conversation. Without saying anything, she approached until she was behind Naruto, unnoticed by the nymph or the blonde. She wouldn't allow that nymph to corrupt Naruto, who, in Poseidon's own words, had achieved perfection, and she didn't want that perfection to be corrupted by the nymph. "Naruto," Poseidon called. At that moment, both Naruto and the nymph turned to her, with varied reactions. Naruto put on a tender smile upon seeing the person or goddess he considered a friend, while the nymph looked nervous and fearful. "Hello, Poseidon," Naruto said happily when he saw his friend. Upon hearing Naruto, Poseidon couldn't help but put a small, gentle smile on her lips. I should go," the nymph said as she left. She felt very uncomfortable and nervous due to the presence of the goddess. Naruto, seeing the nymph had left, simply shrugged, while Poseidon had a strange smile. She didn't know why, but she was glad the nymph had left. "Naruto, can you tell me what that nymph wanted?" Poseidon asked seriously, something Naruto didn't pay much attention to. "Oh, she was saying something about us having fun. Honestly, I have no idea what she meant." "Why do you ask?" he said with a small smile. Poseidon kept a furrowed brow. In these months, she knew that Naruto was too innocent to understand things like that. That was another reason she hadn't told anyone else about him. She was sure that if Aphrodite found out about Naruto, she would try to corrupt him in every obscene way possible, something that, even though it might sound cheesy, she wouldn't allow. "No, it's nothing," she replied, while Naruto nodded, somewhat confused. "Is everything okay?" Naruto asked, still not understanding. After that, the two engaged in a conversation about trivial matters. This moment was one of the few when Poseidon could be completely relaxed without worrying about anything else. She enjoyed it. "That's so relaxing," Naruto said as he gazed at the vast sea before him. It had been a few minutes since he had seen Poseidon. Unfortunately, she had to return to Olympus because Zeus had called a meeting, but only with the original Olympians. She couldn't deny being sad about it, but she knew Poseidon had more important matters to attend to. Fortunately, she had said she would return after the meeting. So, to avoid staying at the lake, he came to the nearby coast and sat in the sand to admire the view. He always enjoyed the feeling of the sand on his feet and the water, after all, he was an elemental of that element. "What's this?" Naruto said curiously as he looked at the ground. There, in the sand, was a pearl with a curious, bright blue color. Without saying anything, the blonde picked it up to examine it closely. How lovely! He was fascinated not only by the color of the pearl but also felt a hint of magical energy in it. Unbeknownst to him, Naruto was being observed by a person hidden among the trees near the coast. The person watched Naruto analytically while preparing their bow and arrow to shoot. "Prepare to suffer," the person said as they released the arrow, which was aimed at Naruto, who still hadn't noticed. The person expected the arrow to hit its target, as it always did, but moments before the arrow could reach Naruto, something astonishing happened. A water tentacle emerged from the shore, intercepting the arrow and preventing it from hitting Naruto. "What the heck?" the person exclaimed. They had expected anything but that. "I wonder if she'll like it?" Naruto said, paying no attention to what was happening. Poseidon, though it may not seem like it, was very protective of Naruto. She was sure that one day her beloved might be attacked. She also knew that Naruto possessed a great deal of power and could easily devastate half of Olympus, but the problem was that Naruto was too pure and innocent to use his power against others, even though he was aware of the power he held. So one day, without Naruto's knowledge, Poseidon cast a spell on him. According to the spell, every time something or someone threatened him, the nearest water source would protect him. It did, however, leave her owing a favor to Hecate, but it was worth it in the end. Without saying a word, the person continued shooting arrows, each with the same result, which only increased their frustration. After a few minutes, the person decided to do something they rarely did, leave their hiding place and attack head-on. Naruto, upon hearing the noise, turned to see the person advancing toward him. At that moment, several water tentacles restrained her, causing her to let out a small surprised cry. "What is this?" the person asked in surprise. Naruto focused on the person and saw that it was a girl with brown hair and silver eyes, dressed in a hunting outfit. "Wow!" Naruto exclaimed, amazed by this. He touched one of the tentacles with one of his fingers, and it reacted to his touch, eliciting a small laugh from him. "Hey, you, get me out of this," the girl ordered while attempting to free herself. I don't know how," Naruto replied in embarrassment, which made the girl look at him angrily. "What do you mean you don't know? I order you to remove this." She was clearly angry. "You're not in a position to give orders," Naruto retorted, with an annoyed pout. "What do you mean I'm not? Don't you know who I am?" she shouted/asked. "Do you know who I am?" Naruto asked. "Obviously not," she replied. "Then why should I know who you are?" he asked again. He might be innocent and dense, but at least he knew how to respond. The girl remained silent as she glared at Naruto angrily. You darn monster," she shouted. Naruto blinked several times in confusion at what she said. "Monster? I'm not a monster, I'm an elemental of water," Naruto said, blinking several times. The girl, on the other hand, looked at him in surprise. He wasn't a monster? But the presence he emitted felt like that of one. It was then that she blushed with embarrassment because she had tried to kill him, and it had failed miserably. "That explains this," the girl said as she looked at the tentacles that still kept her captive. "I'm sorry for attacking you," she apologized, causing Naruto to look at her in confusion. "You attacked me?" he asked, as he hadn't even noticed. "You didn't notice? Or you're very dense or very distracted, as it's impossible not to notice the number of arrows I shot at you," she said. At her words, Naruto shook his head. "No," Naruto replied, and the place fell into silence for a few seconds. "Could you release me?" This time she asked politely. Maybe she didn't sympathize much with males, but she knew it wasn't right to attack him for no reason. "Well, I don't know how to do it," Naruto said apologetically, sighing the girl. "But let me try something," Naruto said, approaching one of the tentacles. "Hey, little friend," Naruto asked one of the tentacles, which turned to look at him. It's hard to tell if they're looking when they don't have eyes. "Would you mind letting her go? I'm sure she didn't mean to harm me," Naruto kindly requested. The tentacle turned toward the girl, who began sweating nervously. At that moment, the tentacles slammed the girl to the ground. They had received orders from Poseidon to harm anyone who tried to attack Naruto. "Wait, I didn't mean that," the worried girl yelled. "That hurt," the girl murmured as she got up and then looked at the tentacles very angrily for what they had done. "You." She was about to say something else, but at that moment, the tentacles retreated into the water. "Cowards!" the girl shouted. Naruto nervously watched all of this. "I suppose I owe you an apology for mistaking you for a monster. Your aura is similar to one," the girl said as she looked at Naruto, who only had a small smile. "Don't worry, people tell me that a lot. By the way, my name is Naruto," the girl just looked at Naruto before nodding. "I'm Artemis," she replied, now identified as Artemis, with a smile on her face. Maybe it's not so bad, she thought as she looked at Naruto. "By the way, what were you doing to mistake me for a monster?" she asked curiously. Artemis had already expected that question. "Well, I was hunting, as I usually do almost all the time, until I felt a very peculiar aura. After that, I saw you and followed you. And, well, what happened a few moments ago," she answered, feeling nervous and embarrassed about what had happened. For some reason, she felt that if she had encountered another man, things would have turned out differently. Upon hearing that, Naruto began to laugh, much to Artemis's embarrassment. Unbeknownst to them, a friendship had formed today. Location: Mount Olympus. It's finally over, Poseidon said as she let out a sigh. The meeting had been called because a few days ago, Zeus had sensed a power surpassing that of most of the gods on the Olympus Council. When she heard about it, she couldn't help but feel tense because she knew to whom that power belonged. Fortunately, they didn't know where it was coming from or whose it was, which made her breathe a sigh of relief. Doesn't he ever get tired of trying? She noticed that during the entire meeting, Zeus couldn't stop looking at her, which made her quite uncomfortable. What was worse was that he only seemed to be staring at her chest, which disturbed her and made her feel uncomfortable because, in the eyes of a god, perfection is expected, and gods are supposed to be faithful to their partners from the beginning to the end. Zeus did not adhere to that. You know, you've been acting very strange these last few years, Poseidon. Why is that? Upon hearing that voice, the goddess of the seas turned to see a woman who was smiling. What do you want, Aphrodite? She said the name with some displeasure, causing Aphrodite, the goddess of love, to smile. Oh, why so assertive? Aphrodite said teasingly, deepening Poseidon's frown. Aphrodite lives up to her title as the goddess of beauty, as she has an incredibly beautiful face with flowers adorning her hair, making her even more beautiful. She possesses a curvaceous figure, with proportions that are truly stunning. Don't start, Aphrodite. Tell me, what do you want? Poseidon asked. She only wanted to finish this and return to her lover. No, don't start, Aphrodite. Tell me, what do you want? Poseidon asked. She only wanted to finish this and return to her lover. Upon hearing Poseidon's question, the smile on Aphrodite's face widened even more. You know, you've been acting very strange these last few years. You've been more relaxed, happier, and less distant. At first, I didn't pay much attention, you know? But then I started to feel something. Poseidon didn't like where this was going. Feel what? Poseidon asked with a stern look. My domains are love. I can tell when a person is in love or feels desire. And I can sense that you're in love, Aphrodite finished with a huge smile on her face as she looked at Poseidon, who widened her eyes. From your expression, I can confirm it. Can I know who it is? Aphrodite asked. Poseidon didn't say anything and just turned to leave, which Aphrodite didn't like at all. She wanted to know who had captivated the tyrant of the seas, and she was determined to find out at all costs. I guess you won't tell me, it's a shame. You know, when I find out who it is, I might keep them company. I bet they're truly remarkable. At that moment, a trident struck very close to her head, making her nervous. When she looked ahead, she saw something that would terrify anyone. In front of her was a Poseidon with the iciest and most unsettling gaze she had ever seen. Listen to me well, Aphrodite, because I won't repeat it. Her voice had no emotion, and it was so chilling that it could freeze hell. Do anything at all, to harm them, and I will personally ensure you face severe consequences, because I won't allow you or anyone else to even touch a single hair on their head. To underscore her point, Poseidon brought her trident closer to Aphrodite's abdomen, making her more apprehensive. Why yes, was all Aphrodite said. She had violated one of Olympus' self-imposed rules, never to infuriate or test Poseidon's patience. Without saying anything else, the goddess of the seas slowly walked away, leaving behind an Aphrodite who couldn't stop gasping for breath. With that look, she had seen herself facing serious repercussions in countless ways. Without either of them realizing it, they were being observed by silver eyes that had witnessed everything. What do you have in your hands? Said the voice of a woman who had witnessed the entire scene and was genuinely curious about the person who had captured Poseidon's heart. She was determined to discover their identity, no matter what. This can't be true, Poseidon exclaimed while burying her face in the pillow on her bed. What were the chances that something like this would happen? Especially to someone like her. She had been getting to know Naruto for these months. At first, she thought he was annoying, but over time, she saw him as a friend. But now she couldn't look at him without her face turning red and her heart racing. There was also the fact that sometimes she couldn't stop thinking about that handsome, adorable, and cute blonde. What on earth was she thinking? It was then that an idea of what was happening to her crossed her mind. It was highly likely that she had fallen in love. What am I thinking? She said to herself while looking in the golden mirror in her room. I can't fall in love. Gods can't feel things like that. Gods have to be perfect. She tried to push those thoughts away, but at that moment, an image of Naruto smiling entered her mind. Why can't I stop thinking about you? Poseidon muttered as she ran her hand through her hair. The worst part of it all was that she couldn't tell anyone about this, as it was very likely to reach the ears of Zeus. She was sure that the idiot would try to kill Naruto, and the last thing she wanted was for something to happen to her only friend. For some reason, the word friend left a bitter taste in her mouth. She let out a sigh and looked at herself in the mirror. This was a problem she had to fix on her own. Seriously, I need to relax, Poseidon said as she left the lake where Naruto and other water spirits lived. After her talk/threat with Aphrodite, she hadn't come here as quickly as possible to make sure her lover was okay, since during the meeting, she felt the spell she had placed on Naruto had activated, which made her a little nervous. When she arrived, she didn't waste time asking Naruto what had happened while she was away, and her lover told her about his encounter with Artemis, which made her furrow her brow. She knew how impulsive and upset her niece could be when it came to males. Fortunately for her, the spell she had cast on Naruto had done its job, or else the punishment she would have received would be more brutal than Kronos. Negating quickly with her head, Poseidon simply walked through the forest for a while before returning home. To be honest, she would like Naruto to come back to her, but she knew that wasn't possible due to Zeus, who wouldn't hesitate to try to kill him. HMP, as if he could. She knew that if Naruto weren't a pacifist, he could bring Zeus and the rest of Olympus to their knees. But for obvious reasons, he didn't. I just hope to stop hiding this, she said to herself. She definitely wanted to stop hiding her relationship with the blonde because she didn't want to have to sneak around to see him and worry that someone might find out. And especially now, she wanted to stop hiding this because it seemed that Aphrodite had realized she was in love, which annoyed her, but she just had to wait a little longer. She just had to go to her mother because she was the only one who could keep Zeus in check. Well, there was Hestia too, but if she told her, she was sure that the goddess of the hearth wouldn't stop bothering her to meet Naruto. The same went for her mother, but to a lesser extent. Slowly, she walked away from the lake, unaware that someone had seen her leave. "So, this is where you've been going," said the voice of a woman. When she saw that Poseidon was far enough away, she decided to come out of hiding. A beautiful redhead with grayish-brown eyes, dressed in a Greek battle tunic with gold-plated shoulder armor, was seen. She also wore 2 bracelets on each wrist that transformed into a celestial bronze shield and a spear. This woman was Athena, the Greek goddess of strategic warfare and wisdom, and also Poseidon's #1 rival. "This is where the fish brain has been coming," Athena remarked. For a while now, she and some other gods had noticed how Poseidon often disappeared from Olympus for certain periods, and many gods had tried to find out where the sea goddess was going, but she always left without a trace. Fortunately for Athena, this time Poseidon was in a hurry, so she took the opportunity to follow her, and that's how we got here. At this moment, she stood in front of a curtain of leaves that appeared to lead to the other side of the massive wall of trees protecting the place. "This place is very peculiar," she said, feeling a strong magical aura coming from beyond the curtain, which piqued her curiosity. Without saying anything, she crossed the curtain and was amazed by the sight. "Incredible," Athena said as she looked at the central tree and the crystal-clear lake. She didn't know why, but she felt a great sense of tranquility in this place. "Huh?" Turning her head, she saw something that intrigued her. On the shores of the lake was a blond boy gazing at the water, his expression so peaceful and serene that it would put Hestia to shame. Slowly, Athena decided to approach him and ask about this place. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Athena watched as the boy turned his head slightly and, in a calm and cheerful tone, said to her. It seemed that he had sensed her presence from the beginning. "What do you mean?" Athena asked cautiously. "This place. Here is where the nature spirits related to water gather. This place is known as the Sanctuaries of Nature," he said, and Athena was very curious about what he had just said. "Sanctuaries of Nature?" Athena inquired, her curiosity piqued, as wisdom was one of her domains. "Every race of spirits has its sanctuary, those of the wind, fire, forests, ice, earth, lightning, and water, the latter being where we are right now," he explained. Athena, without realizing it, had sat down next to the boy as she processed the information. "Why are you telling me this?" Athena asked. "Well, I could sense the curiosity emanating from you and thought it would be a good idea to clarify the doubts you probably had," he replied with a happy and playful tone, which brought a small smile to the goddess's face. "By the way, my name is Naruto, and I'm a water elemental," Naruto said with a smile that, for some reason, made Athena feel a sense of peace. "I'm Athena," she replied at the same time she noticed the look of astonishment on Naruto's face. "Is something wrong?" she asked in response to the look Naruto was giving her. "You're the goddess of wisdom," Naruto said with some excitement. "Do you know me?" Athena asked. How could I not? You're one of the most well-known goddesses and one of the ones I admire the most, he replied with a huge smile. Athena blushed slightly, as she wasn't used to hearing such things, but at that moment, she couldn't help but feel her goddess ego grow a few inches. With Poseidon. What on earth? She muttered. At this moment, she was near Olympus, but for some reason, she felt like her ego had been bruised. Athena. For some reason, she felt a wave of jealousy towards the goddess of wisdom. It felt as if she was going to try to take something that belonged to her. With a serious and cold expression, she walked towards Olympus. She was determined that the next time she went, Naruto would come with her. But first, she needed to tell someone to ensure help in case Zeus tried something, and she already knew who to talk to. With Athena and Naruto. And tell me, Lady Athena, what brings you here? Naruto asked curiously. He seems like a child, she thought when she saw Naruto's curious expression. She could sense the purity in the blonde, so much so that it could make someone like Hestia vomit rainbows, just like a gnome. I was walking through the forest to pass the time, and I stumbled upon this place, she lied. She wasn't about to go around telling him that she was following another goddess to find out who her lover was. She even planned to, once she knew who her rival's lover was, tell her father, just to get back at her. I see, Naruto replied before gazing at the lake. And tell me, Naruto, are you alone? She asked to find out if he would say something about Poseidon. From what little she had seen of the blonde, she knew he was innocent and naive, like a child. It might sound bad, but she had to take advantage of that. Upon hearing that question, Naruto put on a sweet and friendly smile before answering, not too long ago, I was with someone. Really? With whom? Athena asked, and she could guess who it was. Poseidon, you must know her. Like you, she's a goddess, Naruto said with a loving smile on his face as he mentioned his lover. In contrast, Athena had a smile, but it was somewhat mischievous. Yes, I know her very well, she said with a small smile as she stood up. I think it's time for me to go, she said, to which Naruto smiled before speaking. In that case, see you, Lady Athena. I hope to see you again soon, Naruto replied. The same goes for me, Naruto, Athena said before leaving the place, unaware of the turmoil she was about to unleash. Location, Olympus. With Poseidon. Mother, Poseidon said to Rhea, who was standing in front of her. Rhea was a woman with dark, curly hair that fell over her shoulders, eyes as green as meadows, and a smile brighter than the sun. Although for Poseidon, Naruto's smile was brighter than her mother's. What's wrong, daughter? Rhea asked in a maternal and sweet tone. Poseidon took a deep breath several times before speaking. She didn't know what would happen once she told her mother about Naruto. I want to ask you for protection, she requested, earning a curious look from Rhea. Why are you asking me that? You have enough power to devastate entire countries. She was very puzzled by her daughter's request. It's because I want to bring my lover to Olympus, and I want you to be there in case Zeus plans something, she confessed, then looked at her mother, who didn't move. Mother? She said, a little concerned to see her mother not moving. Before she could say anything else, she saw Rhea collapse on the ground. It finally happened. I'll be a grandmother. My daughter has a partner. Rhea murmured, unconscious, and with a big smile on her face. Poseidon had heard all of that and couldn't help but blush a little out of embarrassment for what her mother was saying. Unbeknownst to her, hell was about to break loose in Olympus. With Naruto. Dad. I'm sorry. I should have done something. Naruto said as he was asleep. He was having a nightmare about a memory that kept him from sleeping, the last time he saw his father. In the dream. Daddy! Shouted a 7-year-old Naruto, desperately calling for his father. At the moment, Naruto found himself in the middle of a forest engulfed in flames caused by several cyclopes. Some of them, tired of the god's rule, had rebelled, causing death and destruction in the process. Naru! Cried a blond man who appeared to be in his 20s. The man was Minato, a water elemental and Naruto's father. Naruto! Where are you? Minato shouted desperately, struggling to see through the smoke and fire in the forest. Daddy! Naruto cried out desperately upon hearing his father. Before he could say anything else, a cyclops positioned itself behind Naruto, who looked back in fear. Well, what do we have here? Said a cyclops as it eyed Naruto hungrily and predatorily, causing Naruto to tremble with fear. An elemental. Just in time for dinner, said the cyclops as it grabbed Naruto by the neck, ready to devour him. Let me go. Please. I haven't done anything. I've been a good boy. Naruto begged, tears streaming down his eyes out of fear. Stop crying, you wretched brat. The Cyclops snapped in annoyance at the child's whimpering. Without further ado, the Cyclops moved Naruto closer to its mouth to devour him. Naruto simply closed his eyes, expecting his imminent death at the hands of the Cyclops. But just millimeters away from the Cyclops being able to devour the child, the sound of flesh being cut filled the air. Ah! You cursed son of Petra! The Cyclops exclaimed in great pain as the hand holding the child was severed from its body. With great pain, the Cyclops brought its other hand to the wound to try to stop the bleeding. Who was the boss? The Cyclops tried to say but couldn't finish because its head was severed from its body, killing it instantly. The place fell silent for a moment until a voice spoke. Naru-chan. Open your eyes. Hearing the voice asking him to open his eyes, Naruto did nothing but obey. Slowly and somewhat fearfully, he opened his eyes, only to see his father, making his expression very happy. Minato just smiled, then with a groan of pain, he placed a hand on his abdomen, where there was a visible wound. When he was coming here, a large group of Cyclopes ambushed him to try to kill him, but that wouldn't stop him from saving his son. After all, he was willing to die just to keep his little blonde safe, and no stupid creature would stop him. Seeing his father's wound, Naruto's happy expression turned into one of concern. Daddy! Naruto cried out as he approached his father's wound, trying to heal it. After all, his father had taught him a bit of healing magic. When Minato saw what his son wanted to do, he stopped him, causing a look of anger/concern/confusion in him. There's no time, Naruto, you have to get out of here, Minato said as he began to cough up some blood. Those Cyclopes hurt him more than he thought. We need to get out of here, Naruto told him. He wouldn't leave without his father. Naruto. I won't get far with this wound. Besides, you're more important than me, Minato said calmly, to which Naruto only gave an angry look. Don't say foolish things. We have to go. Naruto yelled, tears welling up in his eyes. He didn't want to leave his father. Minato straightened up as best as he could and got down to his son's level. He knew full well that Naruto would leave on his own, just as stubborn as his mother. Naruto. I want you to promise me something, Minato asked with a caring voice. What is it? Naruto asked, confused/curious. When you grow up and have a family, take care of them and give them the same love that your mother and I gave you, Minato requested sadly, looking at his son with all the love in the world that only a father could give. For some reason, tears started streaming from the blonde's eyes. I promise, Naruto replied, tears streaming down his cheeks, which were wiped away by Minato. And Naruto, remember. Daddy will always be with you. Saying that, Naruto disappeared in a flash while crying. The last thing he saw was a group of Cyclopes appearing just as his father teleported him. End of the dream. Dad! Naruto shouted as he woke up from that nightmare. The blonde had multiple sweat droplets running down his face. Undoubtedly, this nightmare would haunt him for a long time. Looking around, Naruto noticed that he was in the forest. He had probably fallen asleep. Without saying a word, he stood up and made his way to the lake where he and several water spirits lived. He just wanted to get there to relax and try to forget that nightmare. Location: Olympus. With Athena. In the vast halls of Mount Olympus, Athena could be seen with a somewhat wicked smile on her face. She had recently discovered who the brainless sea goddess's lover was and wasn't going to miss this opportunity to make her uncomfortable. She wasn't worried about Naruto, as she was sure her father wouldn't do anything as terrible as killing him. Father, Athena called to Zeus as she entered the council chamber, where the god of lightning was. Zeus appeared to be a man in his 30s or 40s. His hair and beard were black, his eyes were blue, and he wore a black Greek toga. What's going on, Athena? Zeus asked curiously, eyeing his daughter, who had a strange smile. I have something to tell you, she said, piquing Zeus's curiosity even more. What is it? Zeus asked, crossing his arms. Do you remember how the brainless sea goddess always escaped from Olympus as soon as the council meetings ended? She told her father, who furrowed his brow a bit at that. She always left before he could try to seduce her. He had tried everything, disguises, trying to drug her, and even asked Aphrodite for help, but he simply couldn't achieve his goal of sleeping with her. He was planning to go to her quarters tonight to try to seduce her again, and if she refused, he would force her to sleep with him, even if she didn't want to. Yes. I remember, Zeus replied, a bit annoyed. At Athena's response, her smile widened even more. Well, I discovered why she always leaves, Athena said, gaining Zeus's full attention. Tell me, ordered the god of lightning, to which Athena obeyed. She proceeded to tell him everything she knew, and with each word, Zeus heard, another lightning bolt echoed through Olympus due to his growing anger. When Athena finished telling her father, she saw that he was red with rage. Ares. Zeus called out to the god of war with force. He would take care of that son of A who dared to touch what rightfully belonged to him. This was just the beginning of the hell that was coming to Olympus. This action would only incur the wrath of the tyrant of the seas. With Poseidon and Rhea. Tell me all the details. An excited Rhea exclaimed as she completely jumped on Poseidon, who didn't know what to do. Mother, please calm down, Poseidon tried to calm his mother, who seemed to get even more worked up. Don't ask me to calm down. My baby has fallen in love. Rhea cried out, pulling Poseidon's cheeks, causing his eyes to swirl from his mother's actions. Mother, please. Poseidon cried/pleaded, to which Rhea pouted and let go. Poseidon only rubbed his cheeks, which were red from his mother's pulling. The room fell silent for a few seconds, until Poseidon's sigh broke the silence that had formed. It was surprising for me to fall in love too. I always thought love was useless for a goddess, but I was wrong. At first, I wanted to deny it, but Poseidon murmured before being interrupted by Rhea. You accepted it. You accepted the fact that you were in love. Darling, no matter how much you deny it, love comes to everyone, no matter how long it takes, at some point, everyone experiences that feeling, Rhea said with a warm tone, to which Poseidon smiled a bit. Tell me, dear, what's his name? Rhea asked with a happy tone, eager to know her son-in-law's name. His name is Naruto, and he's a water elemental, Poseidon replied calmly, but inside, she was nervous about what her mother would say. Water elemental? That's intriguing, Rhea remarked, then asked her daughter another question. I suppose you want to bring him to Olympus and that's why you need protection, right? Rhea inquired, to which Poseidon only nodded. The Titanide sighed and then looked at her daughter. She knew that the reason Poseidon was asking for this was mainly because of Zeus. Don't worry, my dear. I'll do it gladly, she replied with a sweet smile, which was returned by Poseidon. Thank you, mother, Poseidon said, then stood up and prepared to leave. But one more thing, Rhea added, causing her daughter to look back. What is it? Poseidon asked with curiosity, to which Rhea put on a mischievous smile. I want you to give me at least 3 grandchildren from your side, Rhea said playfully. Poseidon blushed slightly but quickly left the scene before her mother could say anything more. Although it's not a bad idea, Poseidon thought, the idea of having children with Naruto didn't bother her, and with the power they both possessed, their children would undoubtedly be strong. With Naruto. Nymph Daphne would love these flowers, Naruto murmured as he looked at some roses. Without a doubt, his friend would appreciate them. Currently, Naruto was walking toward the lake, but on a different path because he wanted to explore the forest more before getting there. Naruto walked absent-mindedly, paying no attention to his surroundings. From the shadows, a figure could be seen casting a bloodthirsty look at Naruto. The figure belonged to a man who appeared to be about 23 to 26 years old, with red hair and eyes of the same color, which displayed small flames within them. This man was Ares, the Greek god of war, who was following Naruto. You might wonder why Ares is tailing Naruto. Well, Zeus had asked him to find the blonde and follow him to his home, then destroy the place. This, according to his father, was a message to Naruto, indicating that he should stay away from Poseidon. Ares accepted because it involved violence, something he loved. Do whatever you want with him, just leave him alive because I want him to know he can't touch what belongs to me. His father's words echoed in Ares' mind as a wicked smile appeared on his face. Undoubtedly, this would be fun for him, bad for Naruto, but very entertaining and satisfying for Ares. Not that he hated the guy or anything, it's just that he loved making others suffer. Hearing their screams and witnessing their torment was simply intoxicating for him. He loved the feeling of having the blood of those he killed in his hands, he just loved it. Where the hell does this guy live? Ares thought, a little tired and annoyed from following him. After a few minutes, he saw a massive wall of trees, and then he watched Naruto enter what appeared to be a tunnel leading inside the wall. Plus. Seeing that, a huge grin spread across his face. Today, there would be a massacre, and no one would stop it. Hello, Poseidon. Naruto said excitedly while looking at his friend, who appeared visibly nervous. It had been about 10 months since they had met, and Naruto could say that these were the best 10 months of his life because Poseidon was, in a way, his first friend. 1. Earlier in the morning, when he had just woken up, Poseidon had asked him to meet her here on a hill near the forest with an incredible view of the sea. Naruto quickly got ready and came here. He couldn't help but wonder about Poseidon's nervous expression, as it was not typical for her. Is something wrong? Naruto asked as he stood in front of the goddess, who tried to hide a slight blush on her face. After thinking and reconsidering the strange sensations and feelings she had for Naruto over the past few months, she came to the conclusion that she was in love. At first, she tried to deny it for obvious reasons, but every time she did, her mind was flooded with images of Naruto. It was as if, every time she tried to deny her feelings, they became even more intense. After a while of being caught in this cycle of denying and then accepting her feelings, she finally embraced it. That's why she was here today, to make it known before someone else did. Poseidon thought, come on, you're a goddess, just tell him and do it before someone else does. Then she let out a sigh. Naruto had a confused look because Poseidon hadn't said a word, and it worried him. He was about to say something, but then Poseidon quickly wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck, which left him a bit puzzled. Poseidon were the last words Naruto could say before the goddess kissed him. Naruto's eyes widened as he tried to pull away, but Poseidon's embrace grew stronger. They kissed deeply. After a few minutes, they separated due to a lack of breath, resting their foreheads against each other as they locked eyes. Naruto could still feel Poseidon's warm breath, and she snuggled closer, burying her head in his neck. For the first time in her life, she felt completely relaxed, aside from a strange warmth that started to envelop her body. She liked it. Eesop porque, Naruto struggled to speak, his words vanishing in his throat. He never imagined this would happen. Poseidon had stolen his first kiss. You're mine, she said, pressing closer to Naruto, making him blush as Poseidon's chest met his abdomen. What? Naruto managed to exclaim. Naruto. I love you. I wanted to deny it, but I can't anymore. I hope you're grateful because you're the only mortal who's won my love, Poseidon confessed, causing Naruto to turn bright red. Naruto yelled in surprise. He hadn't expected this at all. Why? Naruto asked while on his knees. Currently, the lake where he and other water spirits resided was engulfed in flames. Efforts to extinguish it were in vain, as the fire continued to spread. Naruto gazed at the lifeless bodies of nymphs, and tears welled up in his eyes. Honestly, this was fun, Ares said as he stood before Naruto. Ares appeared as a 20-year-old with long red hair, matching eyes, wearing a red toga, carrying a spear, and sporting golden armor on his legs. Don't take it personally, it's just a job, he said with a sinister smile. Why did you do this? Naruto shouted at Ares, who frowned. Lower your tone, cursed mortal, Ares retorted, glaring at Naruto. How dare this lowly mortal speak to him this way? He was a god and deserved respect. With respect? How do you expect me to show respect after all you've done? Naruto yelled in anger, looking at the blazing destruction around them. I said, speak to me with respect. Ares shouted angrily, preparing to attack Naruto. With Poseidon. Something's not right, were Poseidon's thoughts. Over the last few hours, she had been unusually restless, though she couldn't pinpoint why. She had a nagging feeling that something bad was happening. She turned to look at her palace room. Like any other god's room, it was luxurious, with a bed in the center and 2 water fountains on each side. Turning her head, she noticed a table with a necklace, a shining blue pearl necklace that Naruto had given her. Seeing the necklace, she couldn't help but smile a bit. Was she overreacting to her restlessness? Perhaps. As she turned to leave, she suddenly stopped abruptly. Slowly, her eyes opened, and her body began to tremble. Naruto, it was just for a tiny second, but during that second, she could feel that something bad was happening to her lover. Without waiting for anything, Poseidon teleported. If something happened to Naruto, she would unleash her wrath upon that person. But what happened here? She said, truly surprised as she looked at the outside of the sanctuary. She could see all the fire coming out of it, along with several nymphs and other water spirits escaping the place. But what happened here? Poseidon shouted at a nymph, who didn't take long to answer. Lord Ares, that single response made Poseidon furious. Without hesitation, she hurried in the direction where she assumed Ares and Naruto were. Once she managed to pass through the dense layer of smoke that had formed, she could see Naruto on his knees, and Ares ready to attack him. Ares, Poseidon shouted, gaining the attention of both. Hello, Aunt, Ares said when he saw the sea goddess. Ares. What do you think you're doing? Poseidon yelled. Just a little task I was assigned, Ares replied with a small smile. A task? Who ordered you to do this? She yelled with a tone so severe that it sent shivers down Ares, who tried to hide his nerves. I'm sorry, Aunt, but I can't tell you that. Now, enough of the talk. It's time to take you back to Olympus, Ares said as he extended his hand to grab Poseidon. The sea goddess was only waiting for the moment when Ares touched her, to cut off his entire arm. At that precise moment, time stopped, and the sound of flesh being severed filled the place. Argh, Ares screamed as he put one of his hands where his arm used to be. Poseidon only fixed her gaze on Naruto, watching as he held Ares' severed arm. Oh no, she muttered when she saw what Ares had caused. She was about to speak to try to calm Naruto, but an enraged cry from the god of war stopped her. You son of a bitch. Do you have any idea how long it takes to regenerate? An angry Ares shouted as he tried to lunge at Naruto with his remaining arm. Poseidon was about to intervene, but then she watched as Naruto took Ares' head and with a single motion, he drove it into the ground, causing a loud groan of pain from Ares, who angrily looked at Naruto. Despicable, he couldn't finish his sentence because a water tentacle emerged from what remained of the lake and entangled his mouth, preventing him from speaking. Naruto sent Ares a look that conveyed only one thing: anger. Slowly, he reached his arm back, formed a fist, and then struck Ares, breaking his nose. You, Naruto said as he delivered another blow to Ares, who couldn't move due to the multiple water tentacles restraining him. Ares tried to shout as he felt several tentacles piercing his limbs, keeping him pinned to the ground. Naruto continued to brutally beat Ares, his face completely disfigured from the furious blows. After a few minutes, Naruto seemed to stop hitting Ares, who only mumbled unintelligible words to anyone. You are, Naruto muttered, gradually ceasing his assault on Ares. Poseidon slowly approached Naruto and then embraced him tightly. Let it out, Poseidon whispered. That's all Naruto needed to hear before holding onto Poseidon tightly and starting to cry. The sea goddess simply gazed at the dying body of Ares with a look that conveyed pure pain for him in the not-so-distant future. Letting out a sigh, she could only listen to Naruto's crying, feeling a pang in her chest. She could already deduce who was responsible for this. For every action, there is a reaction. An action had already occurred, and now it was time for the reaction. End of chapter.